Gabby here, and today we have a new episode in the art review series. And today we'll be checking out the work of Skyfire. I found this artist through, I believe, ArtStation, but I've seen this artist's work through Pinterest, Pixiv, I think, even. And yeah, I was actually struggling before because I couldn't find the artist's name. But thankfully, through life, through serendipity, I was able to find this artist finally. And they have this series called, it's like the Office Lady series, where it's a Taiwanese chick or a bunch of women, Taiwanese women, obviously, that they're usually riding motorcycles, obviously wearing a helmet to be safe, but oftentimes wearing their like leggings, like normal office attire that you see. This is such a common look, and I do like the vibe of it because, in a way, it also reminds me of home because even though this is in Taiwan, it's pretty close to, like it's just north of the Philippines, so it's like at the edge of Southeast Asia, so it does have a tropical vibe to it. Like if you look at the colors, it seems very cool and tropical because of the blues and the greens, and these types of scenes, it does remind me of home a bit because the plastic chairs, the very like you see a lot of like, it's not a full on, it's not a dinery, but like food is so common everywhere, and it's I can feel the energy of the place. So maybe I'm being biased there because it's so familiar to me, and especially this types of uniforms. I mean, most women have a similar, like it's almost always like I'm not sure what this is called, like a work skirt. Like it's not like a party skirt. Like it's actually like you can tell by the looks of it, it is a work skirt. And the leggings are almost always like back in college, I used to have like, there's this college called or I'm not sure what the actual name, but it was on, like they housed the hospitality and tourism students, and they had to wear leggings. Like we all had to wear our uniforms essentially, even in school. So it's nice seeing this, like there's just something familiar with it. And this one's actually pretty warm. For if you look at the ArtStation link, I will link all of the links, by the way, in the description below. It's mostly in the cooler side of things. Again, plenty of blues, plenty of greens. And aside from the focus on being chicks, a bunch of women, usually in a day-to-day setting. The most common, I think, project or theme is the office lady, just doing not random, but day-to-day like work stuff, or usually during their break time, traveling, riding their motorcycles and such, and just living. It's like a slice of life type of approach. But if you look at the environment too, even though it's not fully, like it's not the main thing, it just adds to the story of like it surrounds itself around the characters, but it doesn't, like there's not always an environment, but you can tell if there is an environment, it just feels more like there's a story to it. But even though it's not super detailed, you can kind of feel the vibes of it, right? Like if you look at the line work, it's not just for the actual background, but for the characters themselves. It's not like a standard black line. Like you'll see this a lot in like manga illustrations or even fully rendered stuff. Like you will see these bold, black, almost black lines. And even in comic art, like in the Western type of content, it's a bit too much for me. So seeing these types of, like for example, look at the line work for this figure. Like it's not even that clean per se. It's very rough, not very rough, but it's not designed to be clean. It's just there to encompass and determine the silhouette, like the main edge of the entire figure. But that's pretty much it. Like it doesn't have to be a legit line. Like you'll see these sorts of intersections. The line weights are not always, like there's a variety in the line weights, but I don't think it's always deliberate in terms of the thickness. But what is clear to me is, I believe this was done through locked layers where you color the lines are, I'm assuming they're done in one layer, and then you hit the locked pixels, I think, icon. So you'll end up just coloring on the non-transparent stuff. Meaning in this case, it would be the line work. So you'll see in this types of illustrations, if you look at the line work, it's not all black. So it's colored in with a bunch of colors, oftentimes related to the surrounding stuff. For example, in this leg, it's kind of yellow and pink, like a flesh tone. So if you look at the line work around it, it's also in a flesh tone but just darker. So it's pretty close to the color or hue next to it. And I think that's like, if you're not really into the line weights, you can set things back by just using or changing the hue of the line work. Again, another scene here, right? And if you look at it, there's hardly any texture, almost no texture at all. It's mostly like really flat. And it's almost painted in a gouache kind of approach, where you see the shapes or the value range is clear. Like it's not blended in like with a soft brush. You can still see the edges of the brush strokes. And it's mostly solid. Like you don't see like a wide range of values, maybe for the hair and stuff, but it's mostly like you'll see this a lot in editorial illustrations or even comic art, where it's not really that painted per se. It's mostly flat, basic colors and shadows and stuff. And I do like these sorts of details where it's just not like dark and then light. There's like a mid-tone or a mid-value in between. I'm not sure what the proper term for that is, but it adds a bit of realism. Like it looks less flat, I guess. It makes the leg look more 3D, or pretty much anything look more 3D, by just adding a few 1 or 2 values in between a very light part and a very dark part. Very interesting. And yeah, again, almost no textures. The line work is colored in, whether it be through clipping mask or through locked pixels. And look at how the anatomy is done. It's very simple, heavy on the shapes. It's not like super realistic per se. It's but I do like the silhouette of the legs. Definitely, like it looks like an actual leg. The way the form is captured through not just the whole body but the legs. Obviously, I think this artist does focus a lot on the lower body, and if you draw it enough times or illustrate it enough times, you're just gonna get the vibe of it, and you'll see or understand the nuances of it all. Slight detail here for the knees, so you can actually tell it's there's like a kneecap there. Again, look at it. Look at the background. It's a bunch of there's no line work at all. So that's interesting. Also, this artist does have a Pixiv user. So again, all of the links will be in the description below. So more office stuff. Maybe she's getting off of work, or just maybe she stopped by and bought some groceries and now she's coming home. Here she's at her workspace. I love the fan here. It can get hot and very tropical. Like the hot and tropical humid climates, it's a bit different. Like it's not like searing desert hot, like you're burning. It's more like like sticky, and you feel so like invaded. And nice feet. But yeah, look at how the line work is very simple. It's direct, kind of like the painting approach. It feels effortless, but if you actually tried this, I think you would have a hard time, or me anyway, because it looks so like it doesn't have much in terms of like rendering. It's rather simple, but if you actually again try doing this, it takes like there is skill in trying to simplify things. Like it's not easy to simplify things, even though something looks simple in the end. When you actually like the process of making it simple is actually pretty somewhat complicated. Even the food looks nice, and I do like the consistency. Like everything from the environment in the background, the characters, the extra props, the food, the motorcycles. Now this one actually it's mostly consistent. like 99.9%. And if you look at it from afar, the color range is fairly, again, similar, like more on the cooler side. Some worms in his earlier works, I think, but the bulk of the portfolio is just a bunch of cooler temperature types of images. And again, the Office Lady is always a classic. Again, not a lot of texture. In the background, there's less, I guess, line work. Or maybe there's less darker lines. You could still see the lines, the original ones, but there's less of it, yes, but you don't see the blacker parts. Like it's all colored in some kind of hue that's tied in with the background. So it's kind of everything. If you look at the hues, it's kind of cooler green, cyan, blue green. So if you look at the line work, it's all within that range as well. Blue green, a bit of browns, kind of browns. So, but it's like yellow brown, like a muddy, but very interesting, right? This is also a line work, but it was colored in again through either clipping mask or through the locked pixels technique. So that's it for this art review. I do recommend you check out Skyfire. Ooh. I will link all of the links in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.